Hi everyone, look what I have here. I know I said that I was not going to get any more, but I'm a sucker for the little sketchbook that's in this box. So I thought, why not? Let's see what else is in it. So this is the December Artsnacks Plus box, and let's see what is in there. Alright, so the surface for this month is the Hahnemuhle Zigzag sketchbook. So it's a really good watercolor paper. I've used it before. And it's an accordion sketchbook. I'm kind of bummed that it's a little bent. It's not flat. But what's specific to these sketchbooks is that it is like an accordion. You can paint on both sides. And you can use it like a little book also when you look at your paintings. Although it's a little awkward, you can't really paint like this sometimes. Sometimes you just have to open it a little bit more to paint. But it's, like I said, it's really good paper. It's 300 GSM, 140 pounds. I don't believe this is cotton paper. But yeah, I've gotten the little ones before and I really like them. So I didn't have the big one. I'm just bummed that the cover is warped. Moving on to what's in the actual Artsnacks box, I'm guessing, or maybe not. Actually, with the Artsnacks Plus box, there's the Zigzag sketchbook and a pack of Copic fine liners. These are always nice, and they look like they're actually pretty fine ones. 0.03, 0.005, 0.1, and 0.3. So these are pretty thin ones, which is nice. They're pigment-based, waterproof, archival, and acid-free, compatible with Copic markers. Photocopy safe, whatever that means. So yeah, they're alcohol-based markers, proof and waterproof. So that's nice. Now for the regular Artsnacks box. You get the same as this, but a tiny, tiny little one. And that's what got me, because I really like these. I've bought quite a few of them. And I've actually figured out how to make them myself. So I've made them with arch paper. Actually, I'll put in the description down below a link if you want to see a tutorial on how to make these. You can make them any size you want. We've got a little, well, actually a big Swedish fish for our little snack. And let's see what's inside here. Oh my gosh. A giant acrylic marker by Edding. It looks like it's some kind of blue, elegant midnight. It's huge. Look at that. It's very heavy. And then we've got the sticker, some Tombow ABT water-based markers, a brown and a pink. Nothing new here. I've received so many of these in boxes over the years that nothing special. And there's a Mono Twin by Tombow. It's an oil-based marker, and yeah, I'm not familiar with oil-based markers. But still, it's a fine tip on one side. Oh, and then a plastic tip on the other side. So stick around and I'll see what I can make with all these. It's kind of a bummer that there's no watercolor things, because these are watercolor sketchbooks. I mean, I can use these because they're water-based. And I can dilute them. But yeah. Anyways, it's still a pretty good box, I think. Especially if you don't have any of these items. As you see, I've used those Hahnemuhle little sketchbooks before. And I really like them. The quality of the paper is really good. In this one, for instance, I used gouache and I did a bunch of landscapes. I used the double pages, but on another one, I used each single page. I'm using a Canson XL mixed media sketchbook to try out all the supplies. The Tombow markers are really good. I know some people can get frustrated with them because they might not blend very well with water, but it really depends on the paper you use. If you pick the right paper, they work very well. If you're using a paper that's not very compatible with it, I suggest putting the pigment down on a ceramic tile or on a palette and then using a brush or water brush to lift the pigment and use it as watercolor. Either way, in my opinion, it works really well. The monotwin marker works well. It has 2 tips, one pretty thick and one thinner. I thought it might go through the page, but it didn't. An oil-based marker is basically a permanent marker. So you can use it on all sorts of surfaces and it should be permanent. It also dries really fast, and as you can see, I tested it with my water brush right away and it was waterproof right away. The set of Copic fine liners is really nice. I like that it's all very, very fine tips. And I have a few 0.05 tips, which are very, very fine. I'd never tried a 0.03 tip, which is super tiny. So these will come in handy when I try to draw super fine lines and very, very small details. I'm really glad I got this pack. So for the acrylic marker, it's really big. And like with all acrylic markers, you have to shake it really well and then prime it by pushing the tip onto your paper for a while. And eventually the paint will come out. This marker is pretty juicy. I really like the color. And I was able to get a lighter color as well by, again, putting the pigment onto a palette and using a water brush to dilute it. The chisel nib has different angles and it allows you to make really, really fat lines and some very thin ones as well. So it's pretty versatile, I think. Alright, so for this challenge, I will not be using either sketchbooks because I don't think they will work very well with some of the supplies, like especially the Tombow markers. Also, I would like to save them for a project. And another reason is that this time I would like to do the bonus art prompt for the Artsnacks Plus box. And the prompt this month is, the holiday season is upon us. Send a postcard masterpiece to Artsnacks. And they gave us the address. So that's what I'll do. Plus, I have a bunch of postcards, and one of the packs is mixed media, and it's pretty smooth. And I think it will work very well with the Tombow markers. So I'll give it a shot. So I worked on my sketchbook to try to figure out what I would draw. And I came up with a little Christmas bear. Once I was done, I sketched it again on my postcard. And I inked the major lines with the Tombow pen. I used the Copic fine liners for the smaller lines. Not very many, but a few of them. And it all worked very well on the paper that I used. Then I used the brown to start painting the face, and like I thought it would, the ink diluted very well on this paper. I didn't have to add water right away. I could wait a little bit and it still would dilute well. So to use these markers, you really need to find a good paper for it. I tried to use all the supplies different ways. I used the Tombow markers straight on the paper and diluting them with water on the paper. I used them on the palette, actually mixing the two colors together. I also used them again straight on the paper but without diluting them. So that allowed me to have a few different colors and different shades as well. I had no problem with the ink from the liners. It didn't budge. They really are truly waterproof, so that was nice. For the background, I decided to use the lighter blue, so I diluted the acrylic on my palette. But this time, I realized the paper was not very good for this because I ended up using a lot of water, and I don't think this paper takes a lot of water. It's nice for light washes like the ones I used with the Tombow markers, but not heavier washes like I did with the background. I guess I could have used the acrylic marker straight onto the paper and make a darker background, but I ended up using it to make some little dots like snowflakes. I didn't really like the way it looked because it was a bit too, I don't know, stiff. So I used a little spray bottle before the paint was dry. I sprayed them with a little bit of water to kind of make them rush in all directions and give a nicer texture to the background. I think it looked okay. And then finally at the end, I used the thicker tip of the Tombow fine liner and I lined the outside of the bear just to make it pop a little bit more, to make it stand out. In the end, I think all these are very nice supplies. I don't know if they work very well with the Hahnemuhle paper. I tend to think that the Tombow water-based markers aren't really good for this kind of watercolor paper because they sink in too fast and then you can't really dilute them very well with water. So I had a lot of fun. It was a great project. I need to put a stamp on this card and send it soon so it arrives before Christmas. Let me know if you got a box this month and if you liked it. I sure liked mine. Even though the supplies are often similar to what's been sent over and over again many times before, the variation was enough for me to like it. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're feeling generous and you would like to support this channel, please click on the thanks button right next to the share button. Thank you all for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye-bye.